righty. Here we go. Let me hit record. We are live. We are live. Welcome everybody to Midwest Elevation. It is a bright and chilly and snowy Tuesday afternoon here in Iowa. Let me make sure we are here. Thank you for your patience. Technical difficulties. But we have made it. Let me know. Let me know you're here. Oh, sorry, I'm not even. We'll get to you in a second. Let me make sure you can see us. There we are. Okay, welcome everybody to Midwest Elevation. It is our weekly interview series, Conversations to Raise the Collective Conscious. I am your host, Renee Zukin, educator, writer, and lover of all things and people. I practiced that part. Just kidding. All right. I'm so excited today, you can tell. I'm so excited to have my dear friend, Julie Staub here. I have to just say that we have known each other for just a few years, since, 1988? Maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. So she is here today to talk about highly sensitive people, HSPs as they are known, and we'll get into the details of that. But let me tell you about her. And while I'm telling you, let me know you're here. Awesome. Thank you. Hello, Carla. Hello, Marty. Yes. Julie is an HSP lifestyle coach and holistic wellness coach who helps highly sensitive people overcome overwhelm and overstimulation by building a lifestyle around rest and digest. She helps those who suffer from chronic stress and disease to slow down and honor their sensitive nature through self-care practices and conscious kindness towards self. Ooh, I was just talking about this earlier today, right? How is having this conversation about self-care versus selfish, but this is put so brilliantly. As an HSP herself, she provides the roadmap to relief with systems that save time and energy, as well as honor our sensitive nervous system. So welcome, Julie.
Thank you.
I share. I am so excited that you're here and that we're doing this.
I know we've had this in the works for a while. It's pretty exciting.
It is pretty exciting.
I'm glad it was like in the new era of after January 20th. I just feel like it wouldn't have been a good time before that. So
yes, we all have a little more spring in our step. Well, most of
yes.
Many of us. At least I think many of us here in Midwest Elevation, and
a lot of weight lifted off. That's how I feel. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, so start us off. So tell us about, when I hear the words highly sensitive person, I don't think about what that means as an HSP, as a, initially, I mean, obviously I know about it now, you just think, oh, I'm sensitive, but this isn't just sensitivity. So tell us a little bit about the specifics for what it means to be an HSP.
Well, I mean, I just like you, I had the same kind of assumption. It's what's crazy about this is, so the trait of high sensitivity, excuse me, was pioneered by a woman named Elaine Aron, and the trait existed before that. However, there were just kind of derogatory tones to the way that they labeled it, and it just wasn't studied the way that she did with her husband. So she wrote a book that came out in 1996 called The Highly Sensitive Person. And I was given that book in holistic wellness school. And they give you tons of books every weekend for our courses. And I looked at the word sensitive and I was like, that's not me. Mind you, I was in my 20s. I was a lot different. I was living in New York City. I considered myself an extrovert. And that's probably how people saw me as well. But really what had happened is I had taken my sensitivity and really become a chameleon and really suppressed that sensitivity because I was always self-aware of it and then how people reacted to me. So just the word sensitive comes with a whole package.
And it does. So there's a lot of baggage with it.
Yeah. So,
especially when we're like younger and people are like, don't be so sensitive, or
well,
why?
that is like the most common line that I would get. And so, yeah, you hear it enough and you're like, I don't want to be sensitive. I need to reject that part of myself.
Mm,
So, years and years of rejection, you can figure out where that takes you. But it wasn't until I kind of revisited coaching, I was working with a one-on-one client and she brought up the movie Sensitive to me. And she's like, you need to see this. I think you're a highly sensitive person. And I'm like, oh, that sounds familiar. Watch the movie. And it wasn't until that movie, which basically was, I think, generated from Elaine Aron's research. So they
mm,
produced it to kind of give that drama quality to it so you could really understand the trait. But when I understood that it was an innate biological trait, it's
mm,
not just being shy or sensitive or crying, it's literally brain and nervous system differences in the body
yeah.
that are more activated than, say, non HSPs. And because HSPs make up 20% of the population, we're kind of this silent majority or
Mhm.
minority. And so when you try to explain what that means or feels like to a non HSP, they don't get it.
Yeah. I'm so really, it surprises me that 20% is kind of where we're at. And maybe that's just because I surround myself with people now who are probably all on some
Well,
level uh, an
yeah, I
HSP.
mean, HSPs, I think sensitive people are more self aware. They go on that personal growth journey because they're like, what's wrong with me? I mean, seriously, what is wrong with me? And then you go down that path of trying to figure out, why am I feeling these ways? Why is my inner world so rich? Why do I have a hard time keeping relationships or friendships or issues with family? I mean, you ask yourself these questions, you go down a rabbit hole, and, several decades later, you finally hear that there's like science behind why you think you're messed up, you know?
Right, right.
So once I discovered that, it was like just another deep dive for me. And I knew at that point I really needed to support and serve sensitive people,
Mm,
and even more like passionate. I mean, not just for adults, but children. I mean,
yeah.
I've always been involved in children's lives. I've always been that person in my friends' kids' lives that, just brings light and love. And I see these sensitive kids getting crushed with
Yeah.
parents that don't understand sensitivity, or they're in that conditioned mindset of projecting all those feelings about sensitivity onto their kids because they
Hmm.
don't want to see their kids suffer, you
Right,
know?
right, right.
So,
Interesting. Can you tell me just like, the bullet version of the traits maybe that an HSP. So like if people are thinking, "Oh yeah, this sounds like me." Like
yeah.
what are the things that kind of nailed it down for you? Or like
Well,
those bullet point traits that
if you kind of look at Elaine Aron's DOES acronym, it's depth of processing,
mm,
overstimulated, emotional reactions and empathy, and sensitive to subtleties. So I understood in myself for all my life that I process things deeply. I remember one time having a friend really betray me and another acquaintance saying, I don't know why you're still thinking about this.
mm,
And that, number one, that was hurtful because I couldn't understand how this person that hurt me, like, it was deep. And
sure.
then why is she mad at me for still being upset about it? And then having that kind of messaging that, oh, I should have just gotten over it. So you don't only just process more deeply, but you process longer. So you dive deep into that processing, but you also stew on it longer.
Right.
So yeah, that's a very huge thing for HSPs.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, the overstimulation, like sounds, lights, smells. Like I actually smell people. I have a really strong, keen, like, and I'm not talking
No, it doesn't matter. Just
BS.
like a
I'm not
natural, yeah.
talking like they stink.
Right,
Like
right.
literally, I can smell chemicals that people have in their clothing or their deodorants or their Axe spray or whatever it is. Like, it's very offensive, and it can make me nauseous. So I can have physical responses to those sensory stimuli.
Yeah, like I can't go in the candle store at the mall.
Right. No, I will
hurts.
instantly get a headache. Yeah. And I didn't used to be that way. This is more as I got older. So something changed as I got older, but I've always been aware of just my comfort level around like sound and light. And, at night I have to have the lights turned down low. I use Christmas lights for everything. I rarely use like ceiling lights. It has to be lamps or just low lighting, dim light. And then the overstimulation is like, that could be related to time. Like, HSPs hate to be observed while they work because there's pressure to perform, and we perform better without that observation. And then also, if there's like a time deadline pressure, it doesn't serve us because we get anxious about that deadline versus just letting us be in our flow. Yeah.
So interesting. I mean, I knew a little bit about it, and I kind of figured that I was HSP, and I think I have a kid or two who's like that. Yeah. And we're getting lots of there's a few people here watching too who are definitely hi Jen, yes, who are HSPs or probably thinking they are, whether they know it or not. So grateful to have you guys with us. It's so interesting. To think about, and I might be kind of shifting gears here, but this thought just popped up. This year, right? We have been a lot of us mostly at home, and my daughter and I were just talking about some of the gifts that being at home has brought over the last year, and a lot of that. The running around or the, being at school with all the people and all the lights. Yeah. And yes, we had a routine, but this newer routine is like way more mellow.
Yeah. It's like an HSP dream. I mean, moving remotely, working from home, working in the comfort of our pajamas, like we need cozy, calm, and just to be able to control our environment because we respond to everything in our environment. So, like your daughter was saying, having the hustle and bustle of school and dealing with all those energies all day, that's depleting, especially for a sensitive person. So.
For sure. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing now. So you had mentioned schedules, and actually I know that you have this awesome free gift that I actually downloaded as soon as you put it out in the world, like early January. I was like, oh my God, I totally need this, right? Your 2021 calendar checklist for the HSP.
It's a mouthful. Yeah.
But that's okay.
I didn't even really know what to call it, to be honest with you, because this is what this freebie is. I'm going to try and sum it up.
Okay.
When you are planning your future, when you are thinking about things you want to put on your calendar, things that you're prioritizing, committed to, so on, you don't want to do it on the first day of your period. You don't want to necessarily do it during Mercury retrograde. You don't want to do it right after you got back from vacation. It's like, how are you setting up your schedule to make yourself successful in a way that like honors your energy and your time, so that you have time to go slow, plan ahead, allow that sponge so that you're not racing from thing to thing. And so when I kind of created this bird's eye view, I'm like, all these other people were responding to it, and they're like, you need to put that out in the world. And I'm like, okay. So I did. But yeah, it's kind of a mix of fixed dates but also dates that are going to obviously be personal to you. And
Sure.
then I just give you the basic framework, and then you can add to the calendar.
I
So it's
love
a checklist, a calendar, and then just some information about what's on there.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had never really, it's really come to mind more and more these days how to plan for those things because everything is in cycle, right? Not
Right.
just women, right?
Right. Well, the moon,
The
yeah. I
moon,
mean, even
yeah,
if you're not in a cycle, or you're not in, that stage of your life anymore. I mean, I remember when my parents ran a childcare in our house, and my dad was like, "Oh, must be a full moon," because the kids were wacko. They were
yeah,
full of energy, So there are trends related to energy with
for
those
sure.
cycles. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and we would talk about that at school too.
Yeah. Crazy kid time.
Working in the school,
Drama.
right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, having that in hand is like gold to even to to plan ahead to be able to map out when is the best time to do things.
Right. Well, for you, because we all are different,
Right.
but it's like we think we have to be on everyone else's schedule. It's
Mm,
like, when do we take the time to look at our own and then carve out time for others?
right. Like we really, we're kind of dependent on the school schedule or we're dependent
Right.
on our work schedule or and so weaving in as much of, our own needs into those sort of systems,
Right. Right.
um, which I'm sure is a whole lot. You know what I just noticed?
Uh-oh.
I just noticed I changed your name to my name.
Oh, that's okay.
I
I'll be Renee number 2.
and what was I just saying? Oh, but that's the thing that you help us with, right? Because we can't just be like, okay, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to be responsible for anybody or any other thing in our lives, right? We have to still work and live in the systems that, exist here.
Right. But like,
But,
mesh your system with the systems you have to comply with.
right,
And that's actually on my calendar, is the school calendar. If you have kids and you're not looking at the whole school year and you're not sitting down carving your life out around that calendar, you're going to just come up with a lot of hurdles. It's like, oh, I have to put a conference with the teacher in my calendar and I don't want to forget that. It's just get it in there, and
right,
then you're not planning stuff and then having a whoopsie because you double booked yourself.
right, right.
It's just
Oh my
getting
gosh, I
ahead.
don't know
Yeah.
how I would exist without my calendar.
I
Oh my gosh.
think that's a teacher thing.
Yeah. Well, I certainly learned how to use it better. Um, I love this. Yeah, Tina says when I read Elaine's book in the late '90s, I felt seen, validated, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
all in my head or I'm too sensitive. Oh,
So
what?
true.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I
And
love this.
so
The cacophony overload.
the what?
Cacophony overload, right? Of the scents and sounds
Oh,
and
yeah,
look.
yeah, yeah. Gotcha.
Such a perfect way. So tell me what's next for you.
Well, I mean, I've been busy in Clubhouse, and I've been hosting regular talks every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Time. And really, at this point, because it's so new, I'm just trying to collect HSP voices.
Yeah,
But I'm hoping to have a regular club called Elevate HSP Voices, because I
fun.
think it's so hard to be seen and heard, like your guest said. And I feel like my life changed as an HSP, and I'm still on that healing journey, but I'm a lot further than a lot other people.
Yeah,
And I think it's just interesting, when you start talking about this subject, I feel like I do attract people, and HSPs come flocking, and we just have so much to share and learn with each other. So that's exciting.
mm,
And eventually I would like to be launching a course. It could be this quarter, but I will see. I'm actually meeting with my business besties this Thursday to kind of put those dates in order. So yeah, I a course, and definitely more Clubhouse and just getting my voice out there, because it took me a long time to feel like I could talk about it,
Mhm.
um, and feel comfortable. But I mean, I still have to get out of my comfort zone to do it, but it's
Of course.
rewarding because I know it's bigger than me. It's, I really want to
Mhm.
support HSPs, and through whether it be coaching or a course or Clubhouse, any of those things, I'm kind of seeing what sticks and then going from there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. And if you all listening don't know what Clubhouse is or have heard of it and are like, ooh, I want in on that, let us know.
I
Um,
do have some invites.
I do too. I've got a
Yeah.
few. When you invite a couple people, then they send you more. They're like, oh,
Yes.
we like who you brought up. No.
It's just unfortunate that you have to have an iPhone at this stage of the game.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can't send invites to people who don't have it, because it'll just sit in your pending folder.
Hmm. That's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have no idea what Clubhouse is, it's a talking app, but there's, I don't know, how would you explain it? I mean, there's,
The way I explain it is, imagine you're at a teacher conference and you are there all day from 8 to 5, and there's speakers in multiple rooms,
mm,
and you're interested in everything that someone, has to say, and you prioritize your speakers, and you kind of are in a hallway and you're making, the 2 o'clock room for this and the 3 o'clock room for that. So it just allows you to basically connect with people via voice. And what I love about it is you can't comment, you
yeah,
can't like it, you can't, it's when it's gone, it's gone. It's not, it doesn't live there forever.
yeah.
So anyone that likes to speak and has something of value to offer, that's kind of what's showing up in Clubhouse.
Hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm just, starting to feel my way around it, and there's a lot of great stuff on there. So
Yeah.
yes, if you're in Clubhouse, go find Julie Staub. Now that I have your right name up on my Zoom, follow her for more weekly information and inspiration about everything HSP. And I do want to make sure that I get everybody the link to the checklist, so that anybody
Yeah.
who wants
Thank you.
that can get that. And you have a beautiful new website. I just adore it.
It's a work in progress. There's so much, I've kind of abandoned it at some point, but there's new things I'm adding. So it's going to be changing very soon. Yeah.
I know. I think I change mine like weekly. It's like tweak, tweak. Oh,
Yeah.
overhaul, tweak.
Yeah. Well, Mercury retrograde is a great time to review your website and make some updates.
Well, that's good to know. I
Yeah.
have one thing that's causing me some issues right now, but we don't need to talk about it. I can't get this one thing to say thank you the right way. I don't know what.
Yeah, I know. I'm telling you, same problem.
It's funny. Well, I don't know if anybody's got any questions. We certainly have a lot of folks out there who are jiving with the HSP
Love it.
world. And yes, the more of us there are who are recognizing ourselves, the better we can live. I mean, we can just, feel better in our own skin. And I think that's what you really offer people, is
Yeah.
help them, feel that way, to feel comfortable in your skin, and understanding like how to create your life in a way that
Yes.
isn't overwhelming and makes you sick. Like,
Yeah.
let's.
Well, and I'm speaking from experience, because really I'm coming on the other side of that, is like dealing with the mental, emotional, and physical issues that I've had from either suppressing who I truly am, or just internalizing a lot of thoughts that were toxic for too long.
Mm,
So,
mm,
I mean, what I hope any HSP would get out of, learning who they are, is just start allowing themselves to be themselves fully. And
mm,
I think a lot of HSPs are always accommodating other people, they're avoiding conflict, they're more comfortable living through the social and cultural norms. And I want to just peel back those layers and say, you're actually, your nervous system and your brain are wired differently. And to take care of yourself, you really must slow down, and you must allow alone time, quiet time, and that processing time for your nervous system, so you're not constantly stuck in fight or flight.
Mm,
So it's a huge health thing, but also I think you're going to be a lot happier if you just own your sensitivity, acknowledge that you need the time, and then live by those rules, have strong boundaries. Yeah. And that's what I help people do, is like, let's reframe this so you can have a good feeling about these decisions based on your trait.
mm-hmm.
That's part of the journey for sure.
That's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. And and my hope as well as yours that, the more people we have that are living truly fully as themselves and, able to balance those things, then, everybody, like, it's a ripple effect, right?
Yeah. And
And
and honestly, HSPs are probably the ones that have some of the best ideas. And because of their sensitivity, they lurk in the shadows. They, are afraid to project, to put their ideas out there. And so the more that they can feel supported, we might have solutions to the world's problems coming from HSPs. And
mm,
I want to support that. So I want to change the world.
that's
I
awesome.
have great big ideas, but I didn't believe in myself until I really understood that this trait was a real scientific thing.
That's
The
huge
journey.
and so
Yeah.
powerful. So powerful. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I've
Well,
so
thank you for
enjoyed.
having me. It was
Yes,
great.
this is
You look
great.
so nice in the light. I'm in the dark here. It kind of
Thank you.
got
Yeah,
dark.
I noticed the sun is going down. It's
Ah,
going down at just the right
I
angle
know.
at my house. So
You're missing all my like pink cheeks because I'm so sensitive that my skin reacts. That's another thing. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, and thank you everybody for joining us today live for our conversation. If you are watching the replay, let us know you're here. Let us know if you have any questions, or if you totally get this. If this speaks to you, let us know that as well. And we will get you the links. And you can, of course, go follow Julie on Clubhouse, where things are taken off. It's so awesome. Thank you so much for being here. We will be back next Tuesday, um, 4:30 Central, with Elizabeth Williams, and I'm so excited to present her and her work to you all as well. In the meantime, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.